everyone, so today I want to show you this one, which I'm calling a double pillar acetate card. So that's what it looks like from the front. Okay, that's how it stands up, so that's the top view. And then as you can see, so it's basically come off the triple layer pillar card that I did. And then at the back there we've got, and that's where you would write. I'll give you a couple of other options of different places you can write. It folds flat for postage like that, and it fits in an envelope for a 5x7 card. So that's the one I've done. Now the papers I've used today again are the Paper Boutique. Again, this is a pack that my Swindon ladies gave me, and it's called Country Stroll is what it is. Oh, it's a bit messed up, but yeah, Country Stroll. And this is the paper kit. So you've got all the toppers, and then the papers. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 different designs, and then the toppers. There's 4 different designs in the circular and 4 in the square. But yeah, I just thought it was really nice paper. So I thought I'd have a go. And then I used some peel-offs that the Swindon ladies gave me, and I've just dyed them. That's all. I've just coloured them in with some Pro Marker, just so they got the right colour. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do today. So let's get into it. Okay, so you need a few pieces for this card. Not too bad compared to the ones we've done previously. Obviously it's not as much because you haven't got as many pillars and whatever. So you're going to need, I'm going to put this piece of acetate to one side, and I'll talk you through the base card first. So if we get rid of these bits and bobs. Right, so you're going to need a base card, just one, that is 7x7.5. Okay, now I've already scored mine, as you can see. So you're going to score it exactly the same as we did for the triple layer pillar card. So what you want to do is you're going to score at 3/4, 1.5, 2.25, and 3 inches, at 4.5, 5.25, 6 inches, and 6 3/4. And that's along the 7.5 inch edge. So what we're going to do now is we're going to trim off on either side. We're just going to trim off 1/8 of an inch either side, just so that then we don't end up with this bit bumping into the crease line on the edge there. Okay, so I've gone ahead and cut off 1/8 of an inch off this edge and 1/8 of an inch off this edge. So now we're going to go ahead and fold and burnish all of our score lines. Okay, so I didn't mention this at the beginning, but you need to make sure that your base card is not that thick. So this card is about 180, 200 GSM, I would say. It's not very thick at all. So that's the kind of thickness you want. Right, with all your mounting folds that you've got, if you turn it over, and on this end one here and this end one here, we're going to put our red tape. Okay, so you should end up with that. So now what we're going to do is turn it over so the red tape's facing down, fold along the second score line, take off the red tape. You can do it in parts or you can just do it all in one go. Hold that flat and then fold along that score line there. So this is like your big centerpiece. So it's the score line just to the side of that. So fold that over and stick that down. So that should give you that, hopefully. So you've got basically, there's your flat piece, and then you've got your pillar on it. So I'm going to turn it round because I find it easier to work from the right hand side. So again, we're going to fold down the second score line. We're going to take all of that tape backing off. And what you want to do, this pillar here that's probably folded like that, you just want to squidge it off to one side. And then this sticky bit is going to stick on that flat bit there. And I'm just going to fold this over like that. Bring it back and just give it a bit of a squish. So you should end up with what we had with the triple layer pillar card. So you should end up with this little pillar with a little gap in between the middle of it. Okay, so then you're going to need to get yourself some pattern strips. Now, the pattern strips on this one are going to go, so this is going to be my front, and this is my little gap where there's going to be acetate comes out here. So we're going to put some pattern strips here, 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 and here. There will be one on here, but this will also double up as where you write. Okay, so for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to stick our strips on here. So for that, you're going to need 4 strips, 4 matte pieces that are 5/8 by 6 7/8, and 4 pattern pieces that are 1/2 inch by 6 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick those down. Okay, so there you have your all your strips decorated. Okay, now this bit here is going to be a bit different. So what I decided was because I'm going to be using acetate. Now, if you didn't use acetate, in fact, let's do the acetate bit first, and then it will make sense. And then if you wanted to, you don't have to use acetate. And if you don't use acetate, then as your panel, then this bit here can just be a normal matte and pattern strip. Okay, like we did with the pillar card, the triple layer one. So if you're using acetate, you need a piece of acetate that is 3.5 by 7 inches. Now this one is a Dovecraft one, and it actually comes with a protective layer on it, which is very helpful because it means that your acetate is less likely to be scratched. So what I'm going to do, before I stick it in there, I'm just going to go ahead and decorate it. So I know my pillar is going to be on this side, and I've also chosen a topper which is going to go on the front here like that. In fact, I might have it slightly off like that. So I know that centre is going to be kind of obscured by the topper, but you are still going to be able to see it. So I just need to bear that in mind. So I've chosen some peel-offs. Now I had this sheet, I was given this sheet, and I've just coloured in part of it with a green pro marker. So I used the forest green pro marker, and I've just coloured that in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel it off, and I'm going to stick it on so that it kind of goes up and above like that, and then down and below. That one's going to come down and below. And then I'm going to also maybe, I think I might cut it off here and use some of these little frilly bits coming out. And I might even use some of these as well. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to use and what I'm not going to use. So I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to start to stick this down. And also you have to bear in mind that 3/4 of an inch of this is going to be in the pillar. Okay, so I could, if I wanted to, stick that in first because that's going to go in there, and then decorate. But the reason why I'm not doing that is because I might want bits to come out of that middle section, so at least I've got nothing, you know, sort of to hide, as it were. Okay, so I've gone ahead, you probably saw me doing a bit of surgery there. This bit's a bit ugly, but that's going to be hidden. I just chose another bit and put that in. And as you probably have seen as well, where the little flowers, I was trying to work out what was flowers. So I haven't coloured those in, I've left them silver. And then I've just coloured in the bits that are like vine. So that I'm happy with that. That's worked out quite nicely, actually. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put it into our card. So in the middle here, I'm going to put some red tape, and I'm going to put it on either side. Now, as I said, you could use, this panel could be a solid piece of card instead of acetate. So it really depends on what look you're going for. If you wanted to as well, you could use vellum, although vellum's not as stable. It's not as, you'd have to have quite a thick vellum. Otherwise it's just not gonna stand up as well. So you really do want to think about that. The other thing I thought about doing as well was I had some die cut like trellis type card. And I thought about using that, but I decided against it because I just thought it was going to be too much faff. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take off this backing, but I'm only going to peel it back a little way, and then I'm going to take my bit of acetate, and I'm going to take my card, and I'm just going to slot that right into that corner, making sure it's level top and bottom. And when I'm happy, I'm going to stick it down, just pinch that top bit like that, and then we can take the rest of the backing off. And hopefully this should then line nicely into that section like that. Now if you wanted to, just thinking about it now, what I could have done was stuck that down, and then I'd know where my line was, but I thought I'd just wing it. but that's an option if you want to. You can just stick your acetate onto that section there, and then you can see what's going to be shown and what's not going to be shown. But actually it worked out fine as it was, so I'm pleased with that. And then we're just going to take the backing off of this side. Now I'm going to take the whole thing off, and I want mine to fold like that. So I'm going to stick that down like that. So now you should find that this measures, well, it's actually 4 1/4 inches across, so it will comfortably fit in an envelope for a 5 by 7. So if you wanted to, you could add another 3/4 of an inch onto this panel. Yeah, 4 1/4. So you could do this acetate so it's 4 1/4 wide, and then it would be more of a 5 by 7. But I don't mind it like that. That's fine by me. Right, so now before we go ahead, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this topper, and it's going to sit. So with it like this, I'm actually going to have it right on the edge, I think, there. You can either have it right on the edge like that, or if I wanted to, I could fold it in the envelope that way, which would then mean I would have all that extra. So I could then have this halfway on there if I wanted to. And I quite like it like that, actually, so we might do that. So that actually works quite well. So if I put the ruler on, 5 inches is there, so as long as this topper goes no further over, so I can put it over there, so I can actually do it there like that. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do that as 5 inches. Okay, so right, so as I was explaining, so this is going to stick on the front there. So it doesn't really give you anywhere to write. So I was like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to put, where am I going to write? So there's a couple of options I can think of. One of them is what we're going to do. And the other one, I'm going to quickly, so I've just literally just come up with it just now. The other way of doing it is actually to make this a mini card blank. So if, say, for example, you've got a square topper like I have, if you just make it a little bit taller. So this one is 3 inches, 3.5 inches roughly. So if you made it 7 inches tall by 3.5 wide, score it at 3.5, make it into a card blank. You can actually stick the little card blank on the front, and then you open it up, and that is where your message is. So that's one option. Okay, the option that I've chosen to go for, which I think is probably the more challenging option, but there we go, we like a challenge. You need a piece of matte card, and I'm hoping this is going to work because I've not tried it. A piece of matte card, and this is 2 3/4 by 6 7/8, and you score it halfway at 1 3/8. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to fold that in half. Now that should, when folded in half, fit nicely onto there. Okay, so then what we're going to do is that is going to stick down. I'm going to make sure that it sticks with the open bit facing backwards. So if I just put this, so there's the front of our card. So I'm going to make sure that the crease line is at the front there, like that. So it opens that way, so your message is inside. Okay, now inside of that, I've done a little insert. Now this insert is 2.5 by 6 3/4, and I've scored it at 1 1/4 inches. So we're going to go ahead and fold that down the middle. And then what we're going to do is that's just going to stick inside. Now, as with a normal insert, you can just kind of work out where you want to stick it. If you want to stick it on one side, because I think if you stick it on both sides, it could be a bit difficult. So I'm just going to stick it on one side, and I think I'll probably stick it on, the left. So I'm just going to go ahead now and stick that down and make sure that crease goes right into the corner of that crease line there. Put some glue on. I'm just going to very carefully fold that in half. I'm going to slot it right into that corner like that, and I'm just going to close the card on it, and then just open it and just double check that it's definitely in the right place, and it is. So that's good. And so that's that bit there. And then we also need a pattern piece to fit on the front, and this pattern piece needs to be 1 1/4 by 6 3/4, and that's going to go on the front there. So that's going to cover up the mat that you can see at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick this down. Okay, so you've stuck that down, and then you've got, it's kind of like it opens up the wrong way, as it were, and then you've got your insert inside. So that's where you're going to write. And I know that's quite narrow, but you can use the whole width of that, which it makes it a bit easier. Or you could write it that way if you want to do whatever you want to do. But anyway, that's just how I've done it. So now on this bit here, what we want to do is we want to attach some ribbon. So I've got some you want thin ribbon, and you want to have, I'm not really sure how much I'm going to need. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find halfway on my ribbon. So that's halfway on my ribbon. And then I'm actually going to mark it just in case I lose it. There we go, there's halfway. And then on here, on this edge, I'm going to find halfway, so 3.5 inches. I'm just going to bring it in just slightly, so probably about there. 3.5 inches, which is here. And then what I'm going to do is taking some red tape, and it doesn't matter if I use thick red tape. I'm actually going to put a little bit of tape down, and we're just going to put it. Now you've got the mat on the following side to kind of use as a guide. I would go just slightly in if I were you. I would kind of bring it in safely, a safe amount, so you're not going to end up with red tape in the way. Just going to about there, make it a little bit short. Like that. And then what we're going to do is take the backing off. We're going to take our ribbon, find the halfway mark, and then I'm going to marry that halfway mark up with the halfway on the card, and I'm going to put it about probably about 1/4 inch in, maybe. It's really up to you. In fact, maybe a bit more, maybe there. Just kind of eye it up really to see what you think looks right, like that. And then on the back of here, we're going to put some more tape, and I'm actually going to use normal double-sided for this bit. Okay, so then you're left with this, which obviously opens the wrong way, but the idea is if we just turn this round, you can either do your little bow at the top or in the middle. Now I've done it halfway, so I'm going to do my bow in the middle. And so the idea is this just then means that you haven't got that bit of card flapping open. So we're just going to fold, do a little bow. And that does bag a little bit at the back, but if you wanted to, you could Velcro dot it, but at least from the front, it doesn't, it doesn't really matter. So now all we need to do is go ahead and stick that topper on. Okay, so I've stuck the topper down. So from the top, that's what it looks like. And then from the front, that's what you have. Now, obviously, like I said, I just made sure that that wasn't going to, so it would still fold flat and be 5 inches wide. So that's going to fit in an envelope for a 5x7 card. But it's quite pretty. And as I said, if you wanted to, you could do this as a little flap up card if you don't want to do all of the ribbon on the side. Or if you want a bit more, you know, a bit more space to write. Or if you wanted to, instead of using acetate, you could do that as a card, piece of card. You could also, if you wanted to use a piece of card, you could then die cut the edge and have a frilly edge. There's really lots you could do. Yeah, the literally possibilities are endless. So that is the card for today. So I hope you like it. As you can see, it folds flat like that for postage. But yeah, I hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. And we'll see you next time. Bye.